My name is Rick Perry. I'm the production designer for Dimension 20. I'm responsible for all the sets and miniatures and the dome and the table and all that sort of stuff. I'm involved really early on with Brennan. Usually it's beginning just me and him talking about what the arc of the season is going to be and coming up with ideas for what might make a cool set. I think on the first season we had like 2.5 to 3 days per set to build them, which is super fast. And now we have a little more time, 4 days to 5 days.
When we get the information, okay, like this is going to be the next battle, it's kind of this crazy process because you think, oh my God, like how are we going to get this done? And then as you're building, it just like grows and all these interesting things happen. You're just like, wow, that's actually pretty cool.
So this is like a stair unit kit, right? It's laser cut. We try to use these as much as possible, but we pretty much never use one straight out of the box. Like they all have to be customized for our needs. And that's actually what Sabrina's doing right now. We have a kit for a water tower, which is going to be on this burning building, but it's just way too big. So she's basically making it half that size.
It's a lot of custom work. It's a lot of engineering how things need to go together or come apart, especially in this situation where a lot of the times things are being moved. Like in camera, you can't necessarily have 8 takes of him taking the wall off and having it perfectly go back on each time.
It just has to work.
I can take this fence out too if that's easier.
Why not?
Yeah, do it.
Look at that line of sight.
I know that Brennan's going to be standing right about here, so everything that I'm building, hopefully he can see in there, hopefully he can reach in there, so there's like a lot of kind of practical considerations.
My name is Nathan Villarreal. I'm the lead miniatures painter of Dimension 20, and this is a miniature I'm working on. For the process of the show, what I do is I take instructions from Rick Perry.
Oh, you're just going to touch it.
He tells me his vision for a miniature, and I just make it come alive with paints. It usually takes me about a day for a high quality miniature, but Shane and I do crank out 50 miniatures a day if we need to.
It's not just about just 3D printing something small. For it to feel alive too, like you have to get the textures right. If you'd think it'd be just simple, but putting that extra care to put in the little details really makes it feel more than just a small building,
Now we have the fun of figuring out what goes where. So this is going to be like a kind of artist loft squatter type situation, but we need to make little bedroom spaces for these folks. This is like, what is 120 pieces of fire?
I stopped counting.
So that's what's going on in this one. There's going to be a fire that starts down here and spreads to the other floors. There's a fine line of like dressing it, but also you can't crowd it up too much because, players have to move through there and this sort of thing. So there's so much unknown stuff. For instance, when Brennan says, I need skater dwarves or whatever, then, I have to figure out like, okay, there's no such thing as the skater dwarf mini that I can buy online, but I know that there might be some skaters and there might be some dwarfs, and then how do we get ones that are going to fit together and combine them into an interesting figure? And she came with some small wings. We took them off, and we're going to put these big wings from a different Reaper miniature on there. And they don't exactly fit just right, so what he'll have to do is trim something to make it work, and then he might have to fill in with like some epoxy to make it nice and smooth, and then he'll prime it and paint it. There's definitely minis that we made that never got used. There was those 2 wrestler chicks. There was like these giant like ogre chicks who were like, dressed in like gym clothes, and they were just like huge. That being said, we do sometimes try and sneak Easter eggs into the stuff we built too. I think in season 1, there's just a lot of dicks in there. At the house party, there's like a and balls, like bushes.
Right.
At the arcade, the planters in front of the arcade are like 2 coming together. It just sort of happens. You're like, oh, that looks like a perfect, and let's put it in. So you can see this like little stair step thing here is what allows them
so rad.
Yeah.
So this is going to be a flooding sewer challenge.
If you kind of look from the side or from, you can
see what's going on down there.
Underwater.
Ooh, that's so cool.
They're totally screwed.
Rick Perry is a sorcerer.
I don't know how he's capable of doing what he does. Really what you need to do with miniatures in D&D to represent what they mean on an emotional level to most players is they're not toys. This is us trying to suspend our disbelief as little as possible. These are stand-ins for something you've already fully fleshed out in your mind's eye. These combats that he makes are so beautiful and alive. I don't know where we'd be without him. He and his team are the force behind, I think, what sets us apart. And he himself is a gamer who understands that level of how bad and awesome these things need to be.
You know, when I was a kid, I wasn't allowed to play D&D because it was the devil's game. I grew up in rural Texas, and in high school I had like read someone's Dark Sun second-y stuff, and I just was like enraptured with it, but it was like this forbidden fruit. And then in college I got to play D&D on this epic campaign, which was awesome, and it definitely got in my blood. Everybody feels like this is kind of a special show, you know? It's been hard to wait to share the show with people, you know, and now it's like really exciting to see people as excited about the show as we are.